Hello everyone! Today we have r/malicious compliance. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel because I really want to get to 90 subscribers as soon as possible. The first story is by Gobert. Friend messes with teacher so he can take notes. A friend of mine used to bring his personal laptop to school with him to take notes during class. It was an old beefy Toshiba and the fans were a touch loud. Not to mention he had one of the fastest typing speeds I knew of, so we are talking fully automatic keycaps here. To give some credit, he was loud, but none of the students were really bothered by it, and it's not like he wasn't doing his coursework. The teacher, however, decided it was a distraction to other students, and he'd have to leave his laptop at home from now on and take notes the old-fashioned way. My friend obliged and was very understanding to the teacher. The next day, my friend showed up to class with his trusty electric typewriter, which he restored himself. If the laptop was loud before, this thing was practically screaming. When it was plugged in, it always made a low buzzing noise, and those keycaps, my god, they were like gunshot. He was sent to the principal's office for disturbing class, but he brought his typewriter to school for a few days after so we could mess with it in the lunchroom. I think he was allowed to bring his laptop back, but simply because the teacher didn't have the right to restrict it in the first place. He never had a problem taking notes in that class for the rest of the year. Okay, teacher? I can just imagine the teachers like, okay, let's do it the old-fashioned way, and your friend brings like a papyrus or a stone tablet and a hammer. Oh, that would be even better. The next story is by Pitted Cherries. Boss wants paper reports? Sure thing. At my job, my boss had a peculiar insistence on having all reports printed out and physically filled in a cabinet. Despite our office having a well-established digital filing system that made accessing and storing documents a breeze, he was adamant that physical copies were the way to go. So I dutifully complied with his request. I spent countless hours printing out reports, hole punching them, and meticulously organizing them in the filing cabinet. The cabinet quickly filled up with stacks of paper, taking up valuable office space and making it difficult to locate specific documents. Months passed, and my boss finally realized the absurdity and inefficiency of his mandate. He sheepishly admitted that he had not considered the environmental impact or the wasted time and resources involved in his paper-pushing obsession. From then on, we embraced the digital filing system wholeheartedly, and I never had to hole punch a report again. My malicious compliance had finally paid off. Oh, that's great that it actually worked, because I remember at a place I worked many years ago, I had a boss who was also obsessed with paper documents. And she had us print out the reports every month and then every year again for the whole year. And then she stored them in a huge big cardboard box, in the corner of her office. And it was so weird because she had a nice office and then there was this huge box on top of a box on top of a box in the corner of her office, which was okay. The next story is by Ask Angie, Insurance for Newborn. I had a baby in early February and the plan originally was to put him on my boyfriend's veteran insurance, but apparently we cannot do that because he's a veteran and veteran insurance doesn't allow dependents. Weird, but okay, we'll add him to mine. I messaged our HR department and they informed me they would need a copy of his birth certificate within 30 days of his birth. The problem with that is we cannot even request a copy of the birth certificate until 4 weeks after he's born, and then we have to wait for the copy to come in the mail. I asked HR department if the affidavit of parentage form would suffice since it's notarized, and they said no. So I asked what happens if I don't get the birth certificate within 30 days, and they advised we would have to wait until open enrollment, which has already passed for this year. So basically, my newborn would have no insurance for almost a year, and we would have to pay thousands for his birth and appointments. I was doing some research, and apparently my son qualifies for Medicaid because I was on pregnancy Medicaid, and I never would have known that had my HR department not denied my request. So now his insurance is free, and my employer is out over $200 a month. I've been getting emails from HR department asking if we got the birth certificate yet, even though it's past the 30 days. Too late. Thanks for the not caring about your employees at all. That's my girl. I guess saving more than $200 and making your boss pay or your company pay those money. Amazing. The next story is by Fetzer Rain. You will search every third car. So, I worked security for a major military contractor at one point. Our supervisor liked using our random search number as a tool for punishment for perceived grievances with us. Normally, our search number was something around 15 to 25, meaning we would only pull over and search every 15th car and every contractor truck. It was very cold and very miserable in the mornings when we would suddenly have a couple hundred employees and contractors to show up between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock. This day, our supervisor got upset because when he came at 4 o'clock for his day shift, he was the 15th car, deciding that he must now ruin everyone else's day, even though we did our best to search his vehicle promptly but completely. So he couldn't say we weren't doing the searches completely. So he set the day shift search number to 3. So we complied. There was only enough room for 3 cars or trucks to be pulled over at once, and once that was done, we would usually stop searches until the others were completed, keeping traffic moving. Not today. This time we filled in the search area and then stopped traffic until all 3 vehicles were cleared, and then allowed 2 cars through, pull over the 3rd, allow 2, pull 3rd, allow 2, pull 3rd, stop all traffic and start searches. We ended up with a line of cars waiting to get into the plant that went 2 miles long. It got so long the local police got involved up the road as people were blocking traffic in some intersections. Then came the phone call from a 3-star general that stuck in the said traffic a mile up the road. Suddenly, we were called to cease all searches for the morning. I later heard that it had been too little too late to cancel the ridiculous searches, and our major military contractor lost $1 billion contract out of the deal, and that supervisor was initially going to be fired, but negotiated his way to just being busted down to a regular guard. We were union, so he started lowest on the seniority chart and got stuck working all the mandatory overtime and all the worst posts, including the one he had made miserable that morning. I should have noted that 2 weeks later, said contract was renegotiated after the company I worked for explained that the person responsible for the general's limousine being held up in traffic for almost an hour had been reassigned. No innocent jobs were lost in the making of this malicious compliance. I love the malicious compliance. It would be, oh my god, $1 billion. I cannot even, imagine this amount of money. But what I cannot wrap my head around is that the general uses limousine. Like, what? Is he going to prom? The next story is by Tesvigian63. Hand over all my tasks so you can get rid of me? Okay. A few years back, I was the IT contracts and supplier manager at a large company, being there 25 plus years and had a lot of corporate knowledge, having worked in multiple roles over that time. Also was very well paid due to length of tenure and experience at the company. And now a whole boss gets hired and proceeds to get rid of people he doesn't like and hires his buddies into various roles. The workplace culture took a nosedive pretty quickly. I knew my time was limited as I wasn't in his inner circle. Seeing the writing on the wall, I started looking for and applying for other roles. The a-hole boss gets to me in their sights and decides to get rid of me, looking to move on of his recently hired buddies to my specialized role. He doesn't even understand what I do, needing a lot of technical knowledge combined with contract and legal. He tells me he wants to move me onto an upcoming project and to finish off what I'm currently working on and not take on any new work. Through all of my contracts across the company, I knew there was no new project or even significant budget for one. But I'll do what I'm told. I wrap up my work and tell him I'm ready for the project. He says, sit tight, it's not far away and don't start anything else. So I sit at my desk applying for other jobs and waiting. One of the jobs I applied for comes through and get an offer on a Friday morning. That same afternoon, the a-hole boss comes around and says the project isn't happening, and as you have nothing else on your plate, we will have to let you go. I know there is heaps of work backed up and the crap is going to hit the fan soon when contracts aren't renewed, services cancelled, etc. I also know my employment contract and they have to pay a generous redundancy because the boss told HR my role isn't required anymore. I say, okay, I guess you will have to pay me a redundancy too. Sure, he says, not knowing what he has agreed to. So I go through the redundancy process and at the same time accept the offer of the new job. Come my last day, I happily accept the $200,000 payout. His face goes pale when he hears of the amount because it comes out of the team's budget. Walk out the door and into the new job the day after. Love my new job, less stress, great culture, a great team, wish I'd left earlier, but then I wouldn't have got the payout if I resigned. 4 weeks later, I hear the crap is hitting the fan and they advertise for a new person for my old role, as no one knows what to do because apparently my job was easy. He did not even ask me document what I did to hand over to anyone else. I mean, I'm not even surprised that suddenly his buddies cannot really do the work. Thank you for listening. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. You can also watch that awesome video or this awesome playlist. See you next time.